Hiya Chris, lovely to see you again up at the range last night. Just a quick recap on the session and the two changes that we discussed. First of all, what we've got to try and do is make sure that the hand path is more inwards from P1 to P2. What we're seeing at the start of your session was from a much better setup position, and you're making overall a better swing, but initially the hands were still drifting up, and as a result the club was getting rolled behind you excessively. So if we look at you here, I've got a club in your way. Just two different ways that we did it. One, I suppose you could set up with one of the alignment canes or poles, anything to obstruct the hands from going outwards. See, they're much better takeaway. If we run you through to your actual swing, good rehearsals, and then during the actual swing, this is the one and only time that you actually, out of the three swings, catch the club on the way back. You can see that as you catch the club, the hands are working out, the club's rolling behind you, and the path of your hands has just been compromised. Added to that, the club now has shifted a long way to the inside during your takeaway. We're looking on the bottom right. What we've done here is blocked the outside path with a range basket, and really just working on swinging P1 to P2, maybe a touch beyond when it comes to hitting the ball, and just chipping some balls forward. You can see on this one, much better hand path, coming in much more, and as a result the club rolling behind you a little bit less. So what I like about that one is that at P2, shaft parallel with the ground, we've now got no daylight here, so that suggests, and that again, we're looking to get this left arm on a very similar angle to your spine if you want to work in the mirror doing that. But to me, that's suggesting that the hands are now following the correct orbit around the body. If we then continue you up a little bit further in this swing, the club still sets very flat. We look at you with your actual swing here, very flat setting of the wrist or of the club, as opposed to a steeper setting like you see here with Charlie, where the shaft of the club, this is actually a little bit too steep. This is pointing down in between the toe and the ball line. We'd like to see it pointing more at the ball at that point. Having said that, with yourself, we can see clearly that we're pointing way outside. Very, very flat setting of the shaft. Pressure point 3 is very much under the shaft, as opposed to what we see with Charlie, where it's on the side of the shaft. One of the main reasons that's happening, if we take a little look at it from this perspective, as the takeaway starts, the left arm starts to roll. So accumulator 3 is loading going back, it's rotating on the way back. So what we also must do is we must set or load accumulator 2 at the same rate. And when we look at Charlie here on the top left, just taking back to his address position, we're going to see a player who's got an angle of approximately 135 degrees between his arms and the shaft of the golf club. And then as he swings back, the angle between the arms and the golf club loads incrementally to 90 degrees at P4. So we can see here now that the angle between the arms and the shaft has been gradually increased or decreased, depending which way you want to look at things, throughout the course of the backswing. It then loads fractionally more in the downswing so that the accumulators can release properly from P5 onwards. So the thought pattern for you here now, Chris, is to set the wrists as you roll the club back, or as you move the arms back, the wrists must be setting incrementally at the same rate at which the forearms rotating. So all we're seeing on this one here is a player with a super hand path who hasn't set accumulator 2 early enough, or hasn't started loading accumulator 2 early enough. If you can do that, like we see here with Charlie, where he's going to take the club back, he's going to move the forearms, he's going to load the wrists gradually, as opposed to what we see with yourself. I'm going to use this one this time. Forearm rotates. We know the hands don't come in enough on this one, but the forearms rotate, the wrists don't really set enough, and as a result, when we get to P3, shaft's laid too far behind you, and from there, there's going to be a lot of manipulation required to successfully hit solid goal shots. In regards to your driver that we touched on at the end, looking at your shot pattern initially, no loft on the golf club. Spend a little bit of time just pushing the ball, or the scenario being you want to hit a push into the right hand semi just for a week or two, just to get some loft back on that driver. When you did that, the loft came back, the ball started higher, started more to the right, and drew back nicely. I find it very unlikely that short term you're going to start to block the ball if you worked on that. And even if you did, we can tweak that and soon get that drawing back, but at least you've got some sort of flight on the ball as opposed to the very flat and quick curve left that you experienced at the start of your session. Good luck with it. Contact me soon about your next session. Look forward to working with you again in the coming months. Well done.